I'm going to try again. My name is Hannah. This is a channel called Ready for Clarity. I'm hoping to do a series called Level 1 Games where I discuss different games as I try them for the first time as an adult ex-cult member trying to recover from a difficult childhood. I have some specific things that will make this an interesting experience for me. One of which being that I have aphantasia, which means that I don't have pictures in my brain. So I don't have a mind's eye the way that other people do. This means that it's difficult for me to do things such as visualize where I am or what an item's location might be, or take clues and extrapolate what needs to be done from them, or maybe even identify everything on a screen might be difficult. And these things obviously translate into real world things that I don't know how to do very well also. So I am almost 30 years old. I have learned to compensate in quite a few different ways, obviously, to be remotely successful as a person in society, but it's been very difficult, and it's taken a lot of personal moxie on my part, a lot of work, and a lot of help and care from other people also. I have a fantastic therapist that I'm working with right now, and we're trying to find things that I can enjoy and things that feel good and things that keep me in a neutral space, but gaining momentum as well, and feeling some sense of progress and productivity. Basically, the goal is for me to get different synapses firing that should have fired when I was a kid and didn't. Things related to fun and joy and just experiencing a moment, overcoming small obstacles and challenges, learning to problem solve, learning physics, learning how things function in systems together, basically. So I just yesterday completed my first playthrough of a Nintendo Switch game. Carry On was the game by Devolver Digital. It's fantastic. It's very fun. It's a mature rated game where you play as a monster, kind of like The Thing, and your goal is to devour everything and gain more mass and more abilities and take over the facility and eventually the world. So I just beat the game yesterday, and I figured I couldn't put off this introductory video much longer. The reason that I'm here, what you guys can expect from the channel, basically this is if you're going to be interested in anything in the channel, I'm going to try and give you those reasons right now. So I have aphantasia. That's super weird. I'm going to talk about that a lot. I get a lot of questions about it in my regular everyday life, so I think it's pretty interesting to people. I am an ex-Mormon, so I grew up in the main branch Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and was baptized when I was 8 and excommunicated when I was 7. So I have a lot of thoughts and feelings around that and the impact that that has had on me and my education and my growth as a person, and how that has impacted my development, my abilities, my skills, and the way that I perceive the world. I was also homeschooled, so I had very limited interaction with the world and pop culture and things that were happening in current events. I'm kind of about 20 years behind and catching up on everything. So I've just now got my first Game Boy Advance, and I can play Game Boy games. I'm catching up. I'm also into film, so occasionally I hope to discuss some probably horror films, but also I'd love to do a series on the crazy Mormon propaganda films that I grew up watching. I'm also very literary. I'm into books, and I write stories. I've been writing since I was young. I did stop writing for a long time because of the way that the church impacted my self-censorship and thought processes. Yeah, I'm open and I want to discuss how brains work, how people work, how we feel. Um, and I want to just kind of share this goofy experience that I'm going to have as I go through learning how to use controllers and the vernacular and the like terms that gamers use. I should say this, I'm not going to be the person you come to for your updates or the person who's plugged into everything. I am trying to catch up and like pay attention so that I understand relevant things as they're happening. But I'm not going to be your I'm not going to be your beat 'em ups or your retro break. I'm not going to be a fantastic channel to come to for super information. However, I do think I can bring something to the conversation. Maybe just by making fun of myself a little bit and being able to be open in this like goofy experience. For example, yesterday in Carry On, I wasn't sure if I had lost the game or if I had beat it, and so I played the end of the game twice just to make sure, like, did I actually did I win? And even though like the credits ran, I had this weird experience where like I talked myself out of whether I had achieved the goal. And part of that is lack of experience, and part of that is like leftover confidence issues from trauma. And it's just very, very interesting to me. And so I wanted to document this experience for myself and, hopefully use it as a way to stop isolating myself from the world and reintegrate into communities. So it's largely a selfish endeavor, but if anyone finds it interesting, I think that's fantastic. And if anyone has grown up in a cult and is only just now learning to do things like draw, or dance, or sing, or enjoy themselves, or have sex, or anything, this is a safe space, and you're not alone. There were probably a lot more of us than we know. When I went and marched for Protect LDS Children in Utah with there were probably about 1,500 of us there. It was a really validating experience. There's a lot of people who have been affected negatively by um, widespread religion in this country and being kept away from education and being kept away from resources that are there to help people. And so if you don't know about those resources, I'm hoping to, as I find more for myself, be able to share them with other people. So the resources I have at my disposal right now are a fantastic therapist, a pretty good family support system. I'm working on it. And I've been working on coping mechanisms that are building positivity into my life. And so video games are a big part of that. I have a hard time with morality issues, and justifying things that are fun is difficult for me. I think everything should have a point, and everything should matter, and everything should do a thing. Otherwise, it's not worth existing, and it's a waste of our time and energy and resources. But I don't actually think that. I think I just have that leftover morality compass from growing up in a cult with very strict rules and guidelines and definitive things that they said were going to happen if you did certain things. So in the idea to just sit down and play a game, it's very vulnerable and very strange and feels very selfish and odd, and I have to fight against a lot of internal mental processes to just make the decision to sit down and do it. And then on top of that, to try and have fun is a whole other layer where it's challenging, right? Like I've never done things like this, and it takes a lot of concentration, and it's a lot of stimulation, and it's a lot of visuals, and I don't do well with those because of my aphantasia. So it's just very high intensity for me specifically. But it's been good because as a person with severe depression, I don't tend to get into those deep focused states on positive things. I get into thought spirals, and I get into obsessive uh, thought spirals, the best way to say them, destructive patterns of thinking. And it's very difficult to get out of those, but it's very difficult also to get into positive spirals and positive flow states and things of that nature. So video games are kind of forcing me to do that because I have to concentrate in order to do them. And so it forces my brain to kind of like ignore the dying whales and the fire in Australia and Borneo being gone and all the horrible things in the world, um, because I have to concentrate so hard for a second. And then I think because I'm caught off guard, I'm able to experience like, oh, a small moment of joy. And I'm trying to learn to appreciate those. So that's about 11 minutes with Hannah and Pinocchio. And this has been Ready for Clarity. This will be level 1 games. I hope to be seeing you soon.